Hey, welcome in Huntsville. Another wonderful good morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us.
What do you love about Huntsville? What makes this a great place to be?
Everyone here is very genuine and very kind and friendly. You never hesitate to speak up and say hello or good morning or just acknowledge the person walking by.
The thing that I love most about Huntsville, I love the peace that Huntsville brings. I love the peace that it gives me.
I feel accepted and part of the town and like I belong here.
Huntsville is where my lovely wife lived when I met her, so I moved here. So I'm pretty thankful for her.
All right.
We're bucking for you in Huntsville, Texas.
Hello, I'm Billy Cobbin, the Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home.
Hey, it's Kay Boning with Tomorrow's Provost Montessori Schools.
Good morning, Huntsville.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm Karen.
I'm Toy.
And I'm Denise. And from all of us at Walker County Federal Credit Union, good morning, Huntsville.
Coming at you live from downtown Huntsville.
All right.
This is Thursday morning.
Yeah. Way to bring the energy, Rob.
It's kind of like a rocket ship taker, like a motor revving up.
Failed to launch.
Elon's spaceship cannot take off. So, hey, real quick, man, I wanted to shout out Brother Elon. You know, he providing these satellites for folks that are dealing with hurricanes, and man, it's just so much going on this morning. We're going to talk about all that today, and our prayers are with all of our friends in Florida. I've got a couple of friends in that area that have been affected by this, and talked to one of them just a couple of days ago, and round number 2 coming their way.
Yeah, really.
Luckily, they're not in the direct path, but still getting hit with a lot of flooding and water, and so we'll talk about that today. We got a great show lined up as we are here. Welcome on in. Welcome in, Jason.
Welcome. Good to see you.
It's great to be here. Fall is in the air. Temperatures are cooling down, and we are here to celebrate all things good in Huntsville. It is our Thankful Thursday. We want to welcome you in, and thanks for joining us this morning. Do us a favor as we get started right away. Say hello to us. You can comment in on the social media feeds. You can send us a text on the 0 Degree Creations phone and text line. We don't use that line just for a contest. You can always text us and tell us hello at that line, too, 936-339-0139. And send comments in on social media. Do us another huge favor if you don't mind. Like and share this broadcast on whichever platform you are using so that we may continue to promote the good here in our community. We always enjoy interacting with all of you, and we enjoy seeing those comments come in. So thank you for helping us grow this platform as we continue to promote the good here in Huntsville, Texas. As we get started on our Thankful Thursday, episode 368, big shout out to Elliot Herzlich of Elliot's Jewelers and online at elliotsjewelers.com for all of your jewelry needs. We had one more donation come in for the Heart Diamonds of Hope from Elliott's Jewelers. It's benefiting Care Center Huntsville. So I've got 13 of these diamond pendants and necklaces and earrings remaining for a suggested donation of $100. All proceeds will go to Care Center Huntsville. You can come by here to First Monday through Thursday from 9 to 3. If you'd like to make a donation, just write a check to Care Center Huntsville, or a $100 bill will get you this jewelry as well. You can give more too if you'd like, but it's a minimum $100 suggested donation. Or you can go online to HelloHuntsvilleTX.com. Of course, we wouldn't be able to be here without First and First Baptist. Appreciate Dr. Jason Bay joining us. Every once in a while, I throw in the doctor in there,
you don't
Jason.
have to. Don't worry
but
about
you're
that.
like, don't do it. But once in a while, once in a blue moon, I throw it in. But that's a lot. Look, can I ask you? I know you're very humble, but I got to add, there's a lot of, to get that, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, years of, learning and those kind of things. What was it like for you going through that journey, getting your doctorate?
Well, it's something that really was a lifelong ambition of mine, was to complete my doctorate. Years ago, after I completed seminary at Southwestern, I wanted to continue to go into the doctorate program. Life came around. I got married. We had a baby, and then I enrolled in the PhD program at Southwestern, working in New Testament. And after a little while, my family, we had a kind of a family tragedy. Well, it wasn't kind of, it was a family tragedy we went through, and I reassessed everything, ended up having to withdraw from that program. But my mother always said, you need to go back and finish that. You need to go back and finish that. And I had finished all the way up to the point where I was about to start writing my dissertation. The coursework was completed. But so then I went to Dallas Theological Seminary. My mother helped encourage me to do that. So I went back and yeah, it was about 3 years worth of coursework there. And but I really enjoyed it because I was full-time minister here, full-time pastor here, and I would take 2 weeks to go up there. They had the program where you could go up and you work on it all year long, but then you have 2 weeks of intense coursework in class.
It's like a boot camp, huh?
Yeah, well, what you would do is you would work on all of your stuff ahead of time, and then when you got there, you would present. That was your time to present, those 2 weeks. But I really, really enjoyed it because it gave me 2 weeks to kind of get away from the church for a little while and just kind of reflect and also interact with a lot of other ministers from around the world. I mean, we had people from Israel, we had people from Africa in our cohorts, and it was so good. And went through that and wrote my dissertation and presented it. And ended that right as COVID started.
Wow!
So my graduation was actually in the backyard because they had to do it virtually. So I missed out on that. But I really, really enjoyed going through that. I love education in general, but just learning and challenging myself. Some people don't hate school, but I always enjoyed school. I love, especially college. Now, high school I wasn't that big of a fan of, but college and seminary and that sort of thing. It's one of those things where I think a lot of people, if you like setting goals for yourself and then accomplishing those things and seeing those things come to fruition, then school is for you. And that's the way that I was. I really wanted to accomplish that and finally got it done and everything, and really enjoyed my time there. But and I would do it again in a heartbeat, but I really loved the process more than the completion of it. The completion really, it was not that big a deal.
I'm not going to get too excited about what I'm doing because, I'm excited about it, but I'm not going to, let me just say this. I know it's not going to be this easy. These first two classes have been kind of a walk in the park. They've been pretty simple. It's a government class, and I like government. I don't talk a lot of politics on this show, but I do. I like to understand politics. Yeah. And one thing that these courses have helped me realize is to have an open mind. But you do have to realize, and I won't get into the nuances of this, but there is some bias. Yeah, and I'm starting to, and I understand why we see a lot of what we see through many universities. In fact, Kansas, I don't know if you saw this, a University of Kansas professor has been asked to leave now. I think he's been forced out because he made some comments that were just really off the rail regarding political things that are going on right now. And he even said in his speech or while he was speaking to it in his lecture, He even said, I hope go ahead and scratch the recording of this. The dean doesn't need to hear this. Well, the dean did hear it, and he is out of there now. And, I think it's important that we have opinions, and it's good that we communicate, and it's good to see both sides of the story, especially right now with this political season. What's the word? The polarization is what we hear. There's so much polarization in politics, but I think it is important that we really do try to sit down with people and see both sides of the story. But also, if we say that we're going to do things in peace, which we'll talk about in a moment, beatitude, one of them is peace that we went over this last week. Respect people's opinions and don't bash somebody for what they believe. It's okay to argument with them and to have an argument with them, but also be respectful of both sides and kind of try to find some common ground. It doesn't mean that you have to quit believing what you believe. There's some pretty, for me, I'm typically conservative. There's some pretty conservative values that I'm going to stand strong on. But there is also some values from, other political parties. And I'm not talking just from liberals or even independents. There's things that I'm like, that kind of makes sense. And so college has been one of those things that's opened up my mind a little bit to be more open. And I'm really thankful for that. But I also stay true to my roots. And I think you have to have a foundation on whatever you believe. And as Christians, we better have the foundation of God's word, that we stand on that truth and know that his word, there's nothing in there that's not true. Every single word in that Bible is true, and we have to stand and build our lives on that foundation as Christians in our relationship with Jesus Christ. But I was just thinking about all these things, and this government class, I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. You would have asked me 2 months ago what a democracy was, and I could give you this roundabout kind of description of what it was, and it would have been partially accurate, but now I understand more about democracy, even though we took these classes in high school, right? So it's been neat to see that.
Well, one of the things when I went to seminary, one of the things that just on piggybacking on what you said is that they always taught us we're not here to teach you what to believe. We're here to give you the tools to discern what is true and what is not true. And I think purposefully you should challenge yourself to read things that you don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah, like things that make you boil. My government book. I'm like, this is a Christian university, and this book is kind of making me boil. It really was. Like my blood pressure went up while I was like, this biased book. But you're right.
Right. Just reading a variety of things, I think, is helpful. It's not going to, if you have convictions, it's not going to change what you believe, but it will help give you a broader perspective of where other people come from and why they come from that, and also it'll help you in your logic when talking to people from differing viewpoints.
Yeah, and it's cool, too, because it's helping me to engage more in conversations
that,
like you just said, maybe that I wouldn't have been able to have before. And when I'm hearing different words and watching, I don't watch a lot of news. I just really don't. I think there's so much negativity in the news, but I do watch some things once a week or twice a week. I'll try to catch something. And I do find myself being much more interested now that the presidential election is among us. I mean, we're less than 30 days away from this. And I do find myself, but I also find myself making sure that I don't get wrapped up in the emotion of it.
Yeah, right.
That number one, guess what? God is still on the throne. You taught me that. I've heard it for 25, 30 years in church, but it's never been explained in a simple way. I think sometimes, and I'm not knocking anyone else that's ever preached, because I was telling you, my pastor growing up, David Edwards, I just miss him dearly. He was tragically killed in a car accident, and he was my pastor for a long time. Baptized me the first time. I got baptized twice because I need a little extra baptism in there. But I miss him a lot, and he taught me so many things. If you hear me say the word friends, I always say, hey, friends, welcome in. That word came from him because he treated everybody like a friend. And he explained things that were very simple. You explained things. When you said, one time you told me, you said, Rob, it doesn't matter what happens. God was on the throne yesterday. He's on the throne today.
Right.
He'll be on the throne tomorrow. And guess what? He's going to be on the throne when we get up to heaven. And that was I've never had it explained that easy. And it just took away all this anxiety and fear that I had about a lot of things.
Yeah, his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. We should all remember that. But at the same time, we want to stand up for what we know is right and true, and vote our convictions, and not lay down in the face of adversity. Stand up for the principles in which our country was founded on, for sure. But at the end of the day, we must come to that all understanding that I know some people get so wrapped up in it and involved in it, and it's just the politics, our dependence and our faith is not dependent upon man. It is dependent upon God. So it's going to be okay.
I keep my negative opinions about something or a situation to myself typically. I don't go now if I'm like on let's say that I had a friend and I wanted to talk to him. We'll discuss things. We'll air things out. We'll talk about what we think. But I think getting on social media and airing your public opinion on some things sometimes isn't for the best. It can cause some issues, and so just kind of be mindful of those kind of things. We have a news flash coming in this morning, so we appreciate Molly very much. Molly's always just taking care of us and helping us out. We're going to take our first break because I do want to get to the Beatitudes here in a moment.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really good segment, so you guys stay tuned in. We're going to talk about blessed are the peacemakers.
That's right.
So stay locked in. We've got a lot happening here on the show today. Keyword, I feel like giving away a little more money. Molly won some money from I gave her some crisp $2 bills.
All right.
So the keyword is cool. All you got to do is text that in on the Zero Degree Creations phone and text line at 936-339-0139. Again, that number 936-339-0139. We'll take our first break. Be back in a moment. Stay with us. More to come. This is your show on a Thankful Thursday. It is. Good morning, Huntsville. Stay with us.
Welcome to Magnolia Kennel of Huntsville, where we've been caring for your furry family members for over 4 decades. Nestled at 877 IH 45 South, our kennel is a perfect retreat for your pet. With a climate-controlled facility, spacious exercise yards, we ensure a comfortable and enjoyable stay. At Magnolia Kennel, we offer a range of options including overnight boarding, extended stay boarding, and doggy day out. But that's not all. We also provide additional pampering services like baths and nail care to keep your pets looking and feeling their best. Making a reservation is a breeze at magnoliakennel.com. We take great pride in our dedication to the community, supporting our local fire departments by providing oxygen pet masks. Stay connected and enjoy adorable pet updates by following us on Facebook. Magnolia Kennel of Huntsville is where dogs get to be dogs. Visit us at magnoliakennel.com to book your pet's next stay. We can't wait to meet your 4-legged family members.
Illuminate your child's future at Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools in Huntsville. Established in 1997 by Kay Boning, our award-winning center merges Christian values with 25 years of Montessori excellence, promoting wonder and discovery in every child. As the only Montessori school within 45 miles, we provide a fun and friendly environment, individualized Montessori methods, and love and care as if each child were our own. Safety is a priority, and with a recent $50,000 investment, our facilities inspire growth, creativity, and learning. Plus, as a nonprofit, we open Montessori doors to families of all economic backgrounds. Partner with the community pillar where every child's promise shines bright. Discover Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools today. Visit tpms.life. That's tpms.life. The Oak Ridge Disciple House is a faith-based 501c3 nonprofit Christian character building ministry helping men 18 and older who are suffering from drug and alcohol addictions. If you or someone you know needs help, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that light can be found through the Oak Ridge Disciple House. For more information, visit oakridgedisciplehouse.com.
Welcome to Magnolia Kennel of Huntsville, where we've been caring for your furry family members for over 4 decades. Nestled at 877 IH 45 South, our kennel is a perfect retreat for your pet. With a climate-controlled facility, spacious exercise yards, we ensure a comfortable and enjoyable stay. At Magnolia Kennel, we offer a range of options including overnight boarding, extended stay boarding, and doggy day out. But that's not all. We also provide additional pampering services like baths and nail care to keep your pets looking and feeling their best. Making a reservation is a breeze at magnoliakennel.com. We take great pride in our dedication to the community, supporting our local fire departments by providing oxygen pet masks. Stay connected and enjoy adorable pet updates by following us on Facebook. Magnolia Kennel of Huntsville is where dogs get to be dogs. Visit us at magnoliakennel.com to book your pet's next stay. We can't wait to meet your 4-legged family members.
Tomorrow's Promise Montessori schools believe in creating spaces where children can learn, grow, and use their imaginations. At any Tomorrow's Promise location, children enjoy the largest playgrounds in town. Tomorrow's Promise Montessori is a fun school where every child learns at their own pace, and mastery of a concept is expected before moving on to the next concept. At Tomorrow's Promise, every child is respected, loved, and nurtured for the unique individual that they are.
Tomorrow's Promise Academy on Veterans Memorial now open. Visit tomorrowspromise.info for more information. Education you can trust. This is Guardian Defense in Huntsville, Texas, a trusted family-owned and operated gun store and range in the heart of East Texas. Guardian Defense is your one-stop destination for Texas LTC, NRA basic pistol and rifle courses, pistol refresher training, as well as a wide selection of quality firearms and ammunition. At Guardian Defense, empowerment is within reach through their Texas DPS-approved license to carry classes. Certified instructors will guide you through every facet of firearm safety, conflict resolution, and the pertinent legal aspects. Book now to become proficient and responsible in handling a firearm with complete confidence. For the eager learners, the fundamentals of pistol and rifle usage await discovery in their comprehensive 8-hour NRA basic courses. You're invited to connect with Guardian Defense on Facebook and Instagram, or give them a call at 936-293-0364. You can also visit them online at guardiandefensellc.com. Guardian Defense, your reliable partner in mastering firearm safety and acquiring quality firearms in the heart of Texas.
All right, back at it here. Man, when I hear that, I feel like I need to put a kilt on and start dancing.
Yeah, this is the energy we need.
You don't have a kilt in your closet, Jason?
No, I do not.
No kilt?
No, no kilt or anything close to a dress.
Man, we can't. We're not going to see you on a Sunday morning. I can't even do a Scottish accent, but that wouldn't be you.
No.
Not even for what is it, during the St. Patrick's Day festivities,
No.
You're like, no way, man.
Although I don't think my ancestors are from Ireland anyway. I can't remember exactly. We traced it back one time to where it was, but they were kind of scattered out over Europe.
We traced it back to Germany. My uncle did such an incredible job. He called it the Book of Hips.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he traced it back to the 1600s, and it about when our family came here. It was really cool.
Yeah.
He found he did extensive research. I mean, for 40 years went through all this kind of stuff. And I found out that our last name actually was Hoopsch.
Oh, wow.
Hubesch.
Wow.
And then when our ancestors came here, I guess it was too hard to write and spell, so they changed to hip.
Yeah. Kim, my wife, she has an amazing story she's German, and her story is a lot easier to trace because they're not that far back. Mine, like yours, goes way back, and we traced it back to when they came to Texas and when they came from Tennessee, and some of my ancestors fought in the War of 1812, and back that far. But after you get back that far, if you're just trying to do the research that hasn't been handed down to you by family members, some of that is really hard to find. The documentation is not there. We couldn't find a lot of it. Now they have all that DNA stuff now, so.
Yeah, that's just, someone did one of those DNA tests, and they did a test. They did this as like a social experiment type deal. I don't know if you'd call it a social experiment, but just a legitimacy experiment.
Yeah.
And so they did one, and then with the same company, they did it again. It was totally different results.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I almost feel like the computer's just spitting out randomness and charging people
scary.
$89,
That's scary. I knew somebody that was, had this big heritage that they traced back all this, and the mother ended up giving them this test to take, and they took the test and found out that that wasn't their lineage. There was some infidelity.
Oh no!
Yeah, and so that individual was kind of down for a while. But I mean, you never know.
You live like 80 years thinking this is it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
you think,
no.
I know, but like it takes me back to. Well, a lot of us really get caught up in heritage and everything like that, but the Scripture is always talking about the adopted heritage. You know what I'm talking about? Adopted into the family, and that's what we preach and proclaim, is that no matter what your heritage is or who you are, you have the opportunity to be heir to the King. Now think about that in earthly terms. Heir to the King. In this passage of Scripture we look at today in the Beatitudes, to be sons of God, to be welcomed into the family. I mean, think about that. That's a pretty awesome thought to think about. Hey, you no matter what your background is, and you can trace it back, and some of it, for all of us, if we really dug into it, could be embarrassing and disappointing. We could find out that we were kin to somebody that wasn't so famous, or maybe was
famous for the wrong reasons.
Famous for the wrong reasons, and then you get the idea, the opportunity to say, "Hey, the King wants to adopt me."
Yeah, wow.
And that's an amazing thought.
There you go, explain it in easy terms again. See, I love this, Jay.
No.
I did one last thing before we dig into the Beatitudes. This was funny. So my last name is Hip. All right, so people think like hip. Well, it's an extra P, but there's a body part there. You're hip, right? My cousin, guess what his last name is?
What?
Thumb. Okay, so we got a hip and a thumb. Now, do you know the founders of HEB?
Oh yeah,
Henry Edward Butt, right?
Yeah.
So I said, man, we ought to. So let's think of a law firm, okay? Law firms are normally like Jones and Smith, and there was one in Georgetown that was Stump, Stump, and Stump. Well, the grandpa passed away, so then it was just Stump and Stump. Great people, by the way. I think at one time actually it was 4. I think it was Stump, 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 and Stump. I think it was 4 of them. Well, here's the thing. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and we were joking about this. And I'm very close to my cousin John, and his last name's Thumb. And I said, John, how cool would it be if somehow like you and I went into we got our law degrees, and like we formed a partnership, and we got a hold of like one of Henry Edwards' relatives. Then we could have the Hip, Thumb, and Butt law firm. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think we'd get a lot of business.
You think so? Personal injury attorney.
Hip, Thumb, and Butt at your service. Anyways, I thought you'd get a good kick out of that.
No, that's awesome. I love it.
Well, Jason, we've been talking Beatitudes for many weeks here. It's been such an eye-opening sermon series, and we want to share this with folks all over, not just here at First, but our audience. And we've been talking, blessed are the peacemakers.
Yeah, that's this week.
First question, is it blessed or blessed?
Blessed is what I say, but
okay.
I mean, I think it's the same thing. But you think about all the chaos in our world today. We, as a culture, are more anxious, worried, stressed, and depressed than any nation in the world. And, for that matter, at time in history, I mean, things should be getting easier. Our technology is improving. Our mode of transportations have improved. We're seeing all this improvement, but our mental health, which you mentioned to me today, our mental health is suffering. Now, Jesus comes along and he says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And there's a lot in the Bible that talks about peace. I was going through this past week and just looking at all the scriptures that deal with peace. But the question that I would ask any group, and I know you guys met last night in your small groups, is when you think about your life, is it characterized by peace, or is it characterized by chaos? Is there stuff just going on in your life like a tornado that just surrounds you all the time, and you seem to be the center of it? Because one of the fruits of the Spirit is peace. So I went through this past Sunday and talked about 3 ways that we achieve this the quality of peacemaker. And the first, obviously, is that we make peace with God. That we have been separated by God, from God, by sin, But Paul says, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Not any merit of our own, but entirely by God's grace. Not any effort of our own, but in spite of our sinful efforts, God has chosen to adopt us, to save us if we come to him and ask him to forgive us of our sin. So the first step to obtaining peace is to make that peace with God, to ask him to make you new. The Bible says when Nicodemus came to Jesus, he said to him, you must be born again. You need to make that peace. Can you go back to a place and time in your life where you turned it over to Jesus Christ, where you said, Lord, I can't do this on my own. I need you. I'm waving the white flag of surrender. Please come into my heart and be Lord and Savior of my life. Can you go back to that time? Because that's the first step to obtaining that peace. And then after you've made that peace, which a lot of people in our audience and in our church obviously have made that peace with God, are you manifesting the peace of God in your life? That's number 2.
That's a big one too, yeah.
Yeah, because what we see even with Christians is the idea of they've made peace with God, but their life is still, there's so much chaos going in their life that they're not manifesting the peace of God in their life. And like I said, this is one of the fruits of the Spirit. Well, why is that? Why is it that we don't manifest that peace of God in our life? And there's one simple answer. I'm sure there's many answers, but one that comes to mind is lack of trust. Mm-hmm. Not turning those things over to God, wanting to have control of everything. When we deal with worry and anxiety and stress and it builds, it's our effort to control something. And when we realize we can't control that, then worry takes over, anxiety takes over. Worry, think of it this way. Worry is based on 100% of our efforts and 0% on God's. And it's simply a lack of understanding and a lack of trust that God is in control. He's sovereign. It's going to be okay, no matter what we go through. I remember my father, whenever my father grew up Methodist, and he became Baptist, but we all grew up with the understanding that there's only one church, and that's the Lord's church. It didn't matter what denomination you were. If you have a relationship with Jesus Christ and you've asked him to be Lord and Savior of your life, hey, we're all in this together, right? There's one church, and that's God's church.
Amen.
And the man is the one that's divided it up, not God. Keep that.
Martin Luther. Is that right? He started hammering stuff on a door.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go down that trail. We can one day. We'll go on Reformation Day. We'll go down that trail. But there's one church, and that's the church of the Lord. But anyway, Dad would say, he would always kid my mom because he grew up Methodist, and she was a worrywart. She was always worrying about everything, and Dad would say, he'd call her Mama. He'd say, Mama, you just need to calm down. He said, that's just that Baptist faith coming out in you.
That's great.
But I remember when he was sick, and we knew that he was going to die, and we knew we would take him back and forth to MD Anderson, and then and we ended up coming to Huntsville to get just some pain medication whenever they stopped treating him for the cancer. We knew it was going to take over. And I'll never forget what he would say to us. He would just say, no matter what happens, listen to me. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
He had the peace.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
Even when we lost him, it was okay because God is still God and he's still in control. So the second thing is having that peace of God in your heart and in your life. And when you start exhibiting that in the way that you live, turning those things over to him, then the third part comes in. And the third part is when you can have peace with others. And you are the person. Now, it doesn't mean that we go along to get along. It doesn't mean we just become a doormat to everybody. It doesn't mean we don't have convictions. What it means is we know the things that bring about peace. It's like Jesus. There was times where Jesus turned over tables. There was times where Jesus got angry. There's times, obviously, when Jesus stood up for what was right. He got angry and convicted and did all sorts of things. But in the midst of all that, there was still that element of peace because he knew what would bring peace. It was him that looked over the city of Jerusalem for the last time when the people were crying out, Hosanna is the King, Hosanna is the King. And the Pharisees were saying, tell your disciples to keep quiet. And he told them, well, if I tell them to keep quiet, the rocks are going to cry out. And then he weeps. The Bible says Jesus wept, the shortest verse in Scripture. And as he looks over the city of Jerusalem, he weeps over it. And he said over the city, if you this day would have only known what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. So how many people are in that same boat, looking for something that they believe is going to bring them peace? Maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a new house, maybe it's a new car, maybe it's a new vacation, maybe it's a new place to live. Hey, we're going to do this because I got to have some sort of peace in my life. Knowing none of that's ever going to fill that void in your life.
It's okay to want those things,
Yeah.
but don't look at it for the peace that's going to fill the void.
It never will.
Nope.
Even with education, you some people that they get all the way that they're achievers. They want more and more to achieve, to get to the end, and then they get that degree. It's just like you walk across stage, and then you're like, okay, here's the paper, and you'll get there. I mean, here's the paper. Now what?
I need to stop taking college. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's okay to have these things and to want these things and to achieve for sure, but not when the end result is that we believe that those are the things that are going to bring about peace, because they don't.
I wanted to, if you don't mind, Jason, briefly, I wanted to enter, while I had this on my mind, as you're talking about this, you talked about are the things that we're doing bringing about peace. Mm-hmm. The first thing that comes to mind for me is social media. And you and I were having a discussion, there during the break. Before you hit that word post or before you hit reply.
Absolutely.
I've done this before. I've typed out. I've even posted, and then I was like, "Why did I post that?" And I went back and deleted it because I thought about it. I said, "This is not gonna bring about peace." Mm-hmm. So think about the things that you're doing today, and it doesn't even have to be on social media, friends. This can be how you're communicating with somebody today. What are you saying to somebody today?
How are you saying it?
How are you saying it? How are you articulating it? How does it come across? All those little things can make a huge difference. The tone of how you're saying something is what you're doing today bringing about peace, and especially on social media. Mm-hmm. If there's somebody that you don't like, is it really worth you saying that's a despicable human being? Is that going to bring about peace, or is that just going to create more war between people? Are you doing that because you want people to side with you and agree with you and see like on your comment?
Right.
But are all those likes worth the decisiveness that it's going to bring? It's not going to bring peace.
No, yeah. Now here's the interesting thing. Just what you said, because after Jesus says this in the Beatitudes, in the Sermon on the Mount, which the Beatitudes are the first part of the Sermon on the Mount. Sermon on the Mount, several chapters there in the Bible. It's its longest exhortation that Jesus gave was recorded in that. The most famous sermon ever given. That was the Sermon on the Mount. So you have the Beatitudes at the very beginning. And then he goes through and he begins to talk about a lot of these more in depth. Some of them he doesn't touch on as much, but some of them he goes in more in depth. This happens to be one that he goes more in depth on. Listen to what he says. He says, "You've heard that it was said of old, 'You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be in danger of judgment. But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. And whoever says to his brother, raka,' which means like holding someone in contempt, thinking bad thoughts about somebody, think about it like, shall be in danger of the council. But whoever says, 'You fool,' shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and there remember, if your brother has something against you, leave your gift before you go to the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift." Now, he gives some very important keys there about how we are to be peacemakers. First of all, he shows how the enemy works. First, he says, okay, you've heard it said that if you commit murder, you're in danger of judgment. But I say to you, the thought, it starts right here.
Yeah, it's all with the mind.
It starts right here. So listen, let me show you how the enemy works. And he says that you begin to have this raka, this contempt for your brother. And then you say of your brother, "You fool." It's a progression. So you and I have a disagreement, not an argument, but say we have different perspectives on the same issue, whatever the issue is. Maybe we're in staff meeting, we're talking about something, and you see it from one perspective. You say, hey, I think we need to spend our money on a new bus. And I say, no, we don't need to spend our money on a new bus. What we need to do is we need to paint the church. We need to take that money and put a new coat of paint on the church. And then we leave that meeting, and you have one perspective, and I have one perspective. And then I began to let the enemy work on my mind. And then he begins to say, the way Rob said that, he was attacking he doesn't think I'm a very smart person. He doesn't think I'm a great leader. That Rob, he has some issues.
That fool.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
I
That's
began
where it starts.
to think, well, your idea is bad. That's number one, which is okay. I mean, you may have a good idea, you may have a bad idea. But then I began to think, number two, Rob is bad. He is the bad guy. And then the third progression, then he says, then you say to your brother, you fool. So then you vocalize these things. So I say, I leave the meeting, the enemy's working on my mind. I say, you know what? Rob is an idiot to think we ought to spend that money on a bus. I mean, people come to the church and they look and they don't see a new coat of paint. Who does Rob think he is? Rob's an idiot. And then I go to somebody else in the church and I say, you won't believe what Rob said.
Then boom, there's the gossip train.
And then it starts adding on. And then before long, what started out as something small has grown into something very, very big. And that's the way the enemy works, because he doesn't want me to disagree with, he doesn't want our arguments to be disagreeing. He wants us to be disagreeing. He wants me to attack you. And we see this manifesting on social media all the time, in our politics all the time. If I don't agree with you, then I don't like you. You're a bad person. What you think is who you are. I've characterized you, I've pigeonholed you, I've molded you into making you into something that I don't like at all. And so then it's real easy to hate you. And then it's really easy to carry that hate within our hearts. And Jesus says that hate is essentially murder in the heart.
Yeah, it's like, when we left and I went to the quote unquote enemy up north, that Brian, I know you're watching this morning, by the way. Hey, Brian out there, I wanted to wish real quick, I don't want to go off topic, but I want to wish a very happy birthday to my buddy Brian Smith, all the way up in North Dakota.
All right.
He became a friend when I was up there, and Brian, happy birthday to you, my friend. But, here, there's people when I came back that were like, I'm not a fan of Rob anymore. And word got out. Because I had to do what was best for my family. I have no reservation. I have no regret, nothing. It was all part of God's plan, right?
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. And then someone came, well, so-and-so said that they don't like this about you because of this. I was like, and you know what, the first thing that I said, I don't care. I said, and if you hear of anything else, please don't tell me, because I don't want that to start dwelling in my mind. One of the greatest sermon, because it does, let's be honest, as if we hear something about ourselves that is negative, it starts eating at you, and you have to figure out a way to spit that out and get rid of it. One of the greatest sermons that I ever heard was from John Osteen, and I encourage anyone to go to YouTube and look up this sermon. It's called Transformation of the Mind. And you're exactly right when you talk, and the Bible speaks of this. The enemy will attack, starting with the mind, which will transcend down into your heart, and that's what pours outwards. And if you can, with the power of the Bible and the power of God, hold your thoughts captive, and say, you know what, I'm gonna be mindful about what I'm thinking today. I'm not going to allow those thoughts to come in. I've practiced this. You can tell yourself, stop thinking about it, and you can ask God to help you to stop thinking about it. Then it doesn't dwell in your heart. And that was one of the coolest sermons I ever heard, Pastor. It really got me to start thinking about what I'm taking in, because what I'm taking in, I don't want it. I want what I'm taking in to come out, and I want what's coming out is to be pure and something that would be of worth to the Lord, something that's good.
Just know that when those progressions take place, and they do to all of us. I mean, we're no holier than anybody out there. But when those things start coming into your mind and in your heart, just realize it's from the enemy. Realize that, James asked this question, where does the source of conflict arise from? Where does it come from? And he says it's your evil, selfish desires within. He says that the enemy is the one. And I just can't stress this enough to our people out there, is that, man, it can happen in a marriage. It can happen with a father and a son. It can happen with business partners. It can happen in every situation where a lot of the, not all, but a lot of the situations can be handled because they're just, it's the source of it is simply a misunderstanding. Where if I would have went to you in that hypothetical argument and I was saying, you know, tell me what you really think. And let me tell you why I really think. And we talked about it. The issue could be resolved. Or we could say, well, hey, you know, maybe we can do both. Or maybe we can come to a compromise.
I'll paint the bus.
But I'm just, the Bible says that when you have something against someone, you know what it says? It says go to that person. And I respect you because I saw you do that firsthand here when you did come back and there was issues in the community or whatever, and you said, no, I'm going to go to that person and talk to that person. I'm going to go have lunch with that individual. I'm going to stop what I'm doing here and talk to that person. I've seen you do that on numerous occasions, and I encourage anybody, if you're going to be a peacemaker, and Huntsville is no different than any other place. We have a great town here. But in a moment's notice, it can become a political minefield that you have to wade through. Or you know, this group can be against this group, and this faction of people can be against this. Stop. Realize where the source of this is coming from, and let's get to the heart of the matter and realize that what we have is too good to fight with one another. We don't need that. We don't need that. And the Bible says that the end result would be that you, if you're characterized by the kingdom, is that you have a desire to make peace. And the Bible says, as so far as it depends on you. There are certain situations where, you know, you can try and you can try and you can try. But the Bible says, as so far as it depends on you, make peace with all. And I believe that's the way we ought to live.
Friends, this is such a good message, and I know many folks that watch the show may not be a believer, and that's okay, because what you're hearing today, I believe, is a seed that's going to be planted in your life. And I want you to know that ultimate peace for those that are non-believers, even if those of us that are believers, but I want you to know that I believe in my faith in Christ that ultimate peace only comes from Him. And if you've been searching for it, just like Jason said, and you've been searching through it through a job. You know, I'll be honest. I'll be transparent. Like, you know, whenever we had to move, I love the story, and people probably get so like, here he goes again talking about moving and coming back. But I love the story because to me, it's a testament of what God does in your life. And I could have approached it one of two ways. I could have been really upset and really bitter, or I could have said, you know what? Thank you, God, for that opportunity. Thank you for that journey. Thank you that we had a desire to come back to this community. Because everything that we do in life, we can either look at it from a good perspective or a bad perspective. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying if you go out and commit a horrible crime that you turn around and try to find the good in that. I mean, there's good in all things. But what I am telling you is be mindful of where you've been and where you're going and where God has you. And be thankful for the opportunities that come your way. Don't get wrapped up in, man, this is great. I got this. It's okay to be like, man, I'm happy about this new job. But realize that it's not about the job. It's about Him. And also don't go out. You know, in the media business, I think that there's this push, especially among young people, and because I was in this. I try to only speak about things, Jason, that I've experienced. But I was in this trap for 5-6 years in the media business. I wanted people to accept me. And social media, boy, there's no better way to get accepted or rejected than, like I just said a while ago, like. You know the only likes that I'm looking for? I've already received all the likes that I need, and that's from our Creator. You know, He came and died for us. And in the media business, you got to be so careful about this. But I think it can apply to everything in life. Don't worry about seeking the recognition and acceptance from others. If you do what God has called you to do and you remain in faith, He's going to honor that. And that recognition will come, and it doesn't matter. You don't focus on it, though. You focus on Him and let His blessings pour out upon you. You don't even deserve them, but He's going to take care of you.
Let me tell you, if someone is watching this or listening to this today and they say, you know what, I want that peace. I want to be a peacemaker. I want to be a peacemaker. Maybe you've already made that first, as we said, is first to make peace with God. Second is to manifest the peace of God in your life. And third is to have peace with others. You want that peace with others, and you want people to see it. Let me give you one piece of advice that I think that this peace with others must begin in your home. It must begin in your home with your spouse or whoever your children and all that. I really believe that one of the main problems that we see in marriages is the lack of communication and lack of understanding how to resolve conflict, how to be a peacemaker, how to handle situations. You'll run into people that say, well, me and my wife, we never fight. We never have an argument. No. You have arguments, just one person, probably the other person, just refuses to argue with you. They just go along to get along. They never. But I think that we must learn how to resolve conflict in a peaceable manner and teach that to our children so that they don't see us screaming at each other and hollering at each other and cussing at one another. But what they see is a husband and a wife that learns how to handle big issues and how to handle conflict so that when they grow older and they have conflict in their life, they can model that.
One thing that I believe too, and that's so good, Jason, one thing that I believe is that when we don't address the little issues, they end up being the big issues.
For sure.
And then you wonder, and I know divorce is a very scary thing. It's happened to a lot of people, and that's something that when Bridget and I know everybody that gets married says this, but we went into our relationship 10 years ago, and then once we decided, hey, we're going to be fully committed to this, that's just not an option for us. And I'm not knocking anybody who's been through it. I know it's tough. It's painful. It hurts. I've known people in the ministry that we talked to, in fact, last week, about a friend. But I will tell you this. I believe, and again, I'm only speaking of it from experience because Bridget and I have experienced this, that when I allow little things and I don't address them, then I blow up. And I'm encouraging it to you as much as I'm encouraging it to myself. Don't allow those little things to eat at you and blow up into something big.
And let me just say, we're all works in progress. I mean, I do it too. I get angry and, I embarrass myself. And, hey, but I've learned something a long time ago. Don't be afraid to apologize. And I've many times that I've gone through something or did something that I knew was afterwards. I got thinking about it, and I thought, man, I look so stupid. I got so angry over that little issue or whatever. And on many occasions, I've had to go to my children and say, hey, I'm sorry for the way Dad handled that. I should have not handled that way. And my children have learned the art of forgiveness. And so they say, oh, it's okay, Dad, we understand, But I think when we teach these things in our homes, then they become evident in our churches. Our churches become, what's one of the biggest battlegrounds that I've experienced in my life has been in churches. How many churches have you been a part of, or people out there have been a part of, where they just love to fight with one another? You know what I'm saying? They love these contentious business meetings and things where, it's terrible. It's terrible. That's not what we're created to be. There's a reason why Jesus spent so much time in the garden praying that his people would be one and united, because he knew what was coming. The enemy works right here. If he can divide us and cause us to fight amongst ourselves, he's already accomplished his work.
Good word today, Pastor. Thank you for sharing with us. And, it's my prayer that all of us listen to this. And I did think of one thing as you were talking about conflict, and the words of Terrell Owens. Did you get your popcorn ready over the last week? Is the popcorn ready, Jason? And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch Sunday service.
Yeah, right, definitely.
Popcorn's popping.
Yep.
And peace has been made.
Peace has been made. We have the prepackaged popcorn at our house. Let me just tell you.
We're going to take a quick break. Friends, if you don't know, go watch Sunday. It's really funny. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a little news you can use, and we'll wrap it up. We got a lot going on today. Of course, our friends in Florida, we want to keep them in our prayers. Jason has a couple of photos that he has sent me that we'll share. But we'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment. Stay with us. Let us know that you're out there. A lot of you are already commenting in, such as Lewis Murphy. Good morning to you, saying good morning, guys, in Huntsville. Appreciate you, Lewis Murphy. Carolyn Gibson, who came by and said hello the other day, the grandmother of Huntsville. So good to see you, Carolyn. Thanks for being here. My sister said, happy Thursday morning, Pastor and baby brother. She calls me baby brother. So she said, I like what she said. Hey, she said it's Thirsty Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
But don't be misled. thirsty for the word of the Lord.
All right.
All right. Way to go, sis. All right. Just throwing it down with a little 7.1 surround sound this morning. Deborah Wine joining us. Good morning. Appreciate you. Brian Smith, who we acknowledged earlier, happy birthday to you. How about PD, Phyllis Dillard, saying good morning to us. Phyllis Springer joining us this morning, or Paula Springer joining us this morning. She said, I found out I am German and Irish. That's pretty cool when you trace your family history.
It is.
El Turpening also in New Waverly joining us. Many, many others across other feeds. This morning I saw our friend Angela Volish. Good morning to you. Quentin Glaze, Molly James, Christine Mitchell. They are back home from Uganda. Wonderful. Autumn Wheaton, who picked up her jewelry yesterday. The Horn family saying have an awesome day. Many, many more of you joining us. Continue keeping those comments coming in. And we'd love to interact with you. I do want to mention before we take that break, keyword cool. All you got to do is text in cool along with your name on the 0 Degree Creations phone and text line at 936-339-0139. I got a little bit of money we're giving away today. And all you got to do is text in 936-339-0139.
Rob, before we break, I want to invite everybody to come back because I have a gift for you today that's going to change your life. So they want to come back after the break.
All right. I'm looking a gift for me or a gift for them?
No, gift for you.
Oh, all right.
Right here on the air.
I knew I heard something jingling in that pocket. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us as we continue on. This is Good Morning Huntsville.
Hey, I'm Denise Olivas, Business Account Specialist at Walker County Federal Credit Union. One of the best things I hear from our members is how they love being treated like they're important, like their family. Sure, our members love things like low rates on loans too, but combine that with the friendliest and most helpful service in town, and you've got Walker County Federal, taking care of our members. It's what we do. We are Walker County Federal Credit Union, member NCUA.
Welcome to Magnolia Kennel of Huntsville, where we've been caring for your furry family members for over 4 decades. Nestled at 877 IH 45 South, our kennel is a perfect retreat for your pet. With a climate-controlled facility, spacious exercise yards, we ensure a comfortable and enjoyable stay. At Magnolia Kennel, we offer a range of options including overnight boarding, extended stay boarding, and doggy day out. But that's not all. We also provide additional pampering services like baths and nail care to keep your pets looking and feeling their best. Making a reservation is a breeze at magnoliakennel.com. We take great pride in our dedication to the community, supporting our local fire departments by providing oxygen pet masks. Stay connected and enjoy adorable pet updates by following us on Facebook. Magnolia Kennel of Huntsville is where dogs get to be dogs. Visit us at magnoliakennel.com to book your pet's next stay. We can't wait to meet your 4-legged family members.
Hi, I'm Billy Cawthon, manager of Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. We know times of loss are tough, and you need a place to feel comfortable and cared for. At Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, we pride ourselves on being with you during those really tough days. You can rest assured that we will be on your side and by your side every step of the way. Thank you for your trust. Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, supporting families every day, every step.
The Oak Ridge Disciple House is a faith-based 501c3 nonprofit Christian character building ministry helping men 18 and older who are suffering from drug and alcohol addictions. If you or someone you know needs help, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that light can be found through the Oak Ridge Disciple House. For more information, visit oakridgedisciplehouse.com.
So, what's inside the mysterious little box?
Whoa, what box? Oh, that box over there.
You went to Elliott.
Wait, don't open it yet. Oh, and yes, I went to see Elliott's Jewelers just a couple of days ago.
Inside the box, is it golden?
Well, I was a little concerned about the price of gold because it's high, but Elliott really helped me find something beautiful and monetarily agreeable.
Oh, well, hey, can I open it now, please?
Whoa, just a little longer. You have to at least wait until Christmas Day.
Oh, well, I can do that.
Elliott's Jewelers. Fine jewelry and engravable gifts. Schedule your appointment at elliottjewelers.com. That's ELLIOTTS Jewelers.com.
Make sure there's something extra special inside the mysterious little box you give this season.
Hi, I'm Billy Cawthon, manager of Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. We know times of loss are tough, and you need a place to feel comfortable and cared for. At Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, we pride ourselves on being with you during those really tough days. You can rest assured that we will be on your side and by your side every step of the way. Thank you for your trust. Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, supporting families every day, every step.
Back at it, friends. We continue on here, 8:40 in the morning. Our prayers this morning with our friends down in Florida. You know, at one point there was over 100 tornado warnings that were issued yesterday in Florida. 100, friends, and maybe more than that. Last time I saw was 92 tornado warnings were issued. Now, that doesn't mean that there were 2 tornadoes. It just means that there was 92 warnings. There were many of those confirmed. And unfortunately, from news that we were receiving late last night and early this morning, that a tornado did, in fact, hit a retirement community, and several people lost their lives there. News coming out as the sun is rising now, at least 4 have been confirmed dead, and just so tough. You know, Florida got hit with over 100-mile-per-hour winds. One of the MLB baseball ballparks lost the roof over there. This is going to be many, many years of cleaning up, and so we just want to continue to love on those folks and find ways that we locally can help our friends in Florida. You know, when we had all the flooding here, we had so many people from outside of even Texas show up here, Jason, to help. Some great organizations came through. Had a couple of them on our show talking about the work that they were doing, but just wanted to mention that this morning. You know, I take it for granted getting up and beautiful morning, clear skies, beautiful day on the way. And then you just go down, 1,000 miles or so to your east, and the devastation there is just unimaginable. So I know a lot of that going on, and you had some things to share this morning.
Yeah,
too.
Just a couple of things. Number one, earlier in the week, there's this photo that was going viral as everybody in Florida was getting ready for the hurricane, and I saw it, and I think a lot of people probably already saw it, but there was this guy that he put ratchet straps across his roof to try to prepare for the hurricane, and it looked like I don't know. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it was a joke, or it depends on how deep he put those anchors in that concrete as to whether that actually worked or not. But I thought that was a pretty humorous picture of the man prepared for the hurricane, strapped. How many straps is that, Rob? 4 straps across?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 ratchet straps across his roof to hold the house down. But I think with the hurricane, not only do you have to worry about the wind, but a big problem is obviously the water. On another note, the Wall Street Journal published an article this week. And the title of the article was "Homeowners Hit by Helene are in for an insurance claim shock." Now, I don't know about you, but it's harder and harder to live in this world that we have in financially. We've seen things, the price of groceries go up, especially like in my home, and I know in your home as well, we've experienced a whole lot of inflation on gas and other things.
Lottery tickets. We talked. Lottery tickets are going. Mega Millions tickets are going from $2 to $5.
The cost of inflation,
man, it's hitting the lottery system.
That is bad. But anyway, the everything is going up, and I don't know if you've noticed this with your insurance, but man, our insurance on our car insurance, our homeowners insurance has just steadily been going up and up and up and up. I mean, that's been one of the hardest hit items, and now because of the hurricanes and all the natural disasters that they're having, insurance companies are covering less and less. And I don't know if you experienced this whenever you got hit when your house got damaged.
Oh, yeah.
But it says damages to houses and yards in many cases will be less than each property's deductible for wind losses, Herman said. That deductible for many policies is now in the area of 3 to 5%, up from 2% in 2021. A 5% deductible means the owner of a multi-million-dollar home would have to pay the first $50,000 of losses. So, and premiums are going up. They're writing into the policies that they're covering less and less. And so, one of the major things we need to pray for these people about is they have homeowners insurance. They think they're covered. They think everything's going to be all right.
No, they're not.
And then whenever they come back, they realize that, oh, they forgot about this policy written in there. They don't cover this or they don't cover that, and it is a shock when you think you have it covered and it's not there.
Yeah, we experienced that firsthand. Unfortunately, with that, the neighbor's 2 trees fell on our house, and he was generous to help with a little bit of the cleanup of that, but. It's a 1% for everything except what? Wind damage. $5,900 deductible, so almost $6,000, on top of that. And what they give you isn't even it's enough, but then you take away what you're going to have to come up with, and now you're like, now we're short. And so it's tough. And I remember years ago when I had something at my old house in Georgetown, my policy was like $1,100 a year, very reasonable, $100 deductible. Got everything fixed. Similar situation. A tree had fallen on the roof. Didn't come through the entire house, but came through part of it. Paid $100. Everything was good. Perfectly fine. When the flooding happened, my house flooded. We had Tropical Storm Hermine come through in 2011, 2012. 23 inches of rain in 24 hours in our neighborhood alone. And we had about a foot of water in some parts of the house. Well, guess what? Insurance, again, hardly anything. No, insurance covered it.
Oh, they did.
This was then.
Oh, that was
now.
then.
You fast forward now, and
yeah.
Now we're paying, our premium has just skyrocketed from $1,700 to almost $4,000 a year.
Yeah.
How can people make a living nowadays? It's just unbelievable.
Our insurance is through the roof. Of course, I have a lot of kids driving cars and and our home, but man, I just got the report this past week that our premiums are going up another $200 per month. And so, it's hard to swallow. I feel for these people, and I know that these damages that are going on, you come back and you think, oh, well, we'll rebuild, but the way things are in the economy, man, it's going to be tough on them. All right, yes. So the next picture I brought for you, Rob, is something that happened in Washington State this past week.
You're sending me random photos.
Yes,
I'm like, what
Washington State. A lady calls 911 when she looks out, and there's over 100 raccoons in her yard. Check out that picture. How would you like to wake up to that? She sent a video, but she's been feeding these raccoons for the last 30 years. And she said most of the time that she'd only have about maybe a dozen or so raccoons, but for some reason 6 weeks ago, she said the number of raccoons that showed up increased to over 100. She said she was scared to go out in the yard because some of these raccoons were very aggressive, and so she ended up having to call 911 just to help her get rid of these raccoons out of her yard. Can you imagine waking up to that?
Look at this little fat guy down here. He kind of looks.
They're all fat, I guess so, because she's been feeding them for 30 years.
Yeah, he kind of looks like me. Look at him, right? Look, you see the little arrow right there. There he is. That looks like me. Little guy. That's my brother right there. My goodness.
What is the wildest experience you've had with wild animals? Have you ever had any crazy experiences with wild animals?
Oh, well, you go through those drive-through.
Oh yeah,
those
safaris.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the llamas.
Yeah,
man, the llama and the emus are the worst. Those things will come at your jugular, man. So watch out for them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got this picture over our head. Let me close this one out. Yeah, you got to watch out for those. I really haven't had that I can think of off the top of my head anything coming at me before. I mean, one of the craziest things I ever had in the middle. I'm driving in my old neighborhood in Georgetown, and out of nowhere, I'm in my Jeep. I have the windows down, and I heard this, and then just boom, and this owl just comes flying out of nowhere, slams into my rearview mirror, and plops on the road.
Goodness.
And it's very rare that you see an owl to begin with. He was coming straight at me, and I literally hear this, and then he boom hits the window, and then there he is.
Stick those talons into your neck and carry you off.
What about you? Have you had a bear come at you, Jason?
No, but what I was going to say is, in a similar story to this, it reminded me of when Kim and I first got married. She grew up in Dallas and it's in a suburb there, in a subdivision, and she didn't know much about country living, which is where I had lived for my whole life out in Walker County and northern Montgomery County, out where we live. And we were living in when we got married, we didn't have a house. We were living in an apartment. And for the summer, we came back down here. My dad was sick at that time. We wanted to come back and stay the summer down here. Well, there was an old ranch house out on this pasture land that we owned, and it was vacant. And so we decided we were going to go out. We were going to stay in that house, and no one had lived in it for a while. So we went out there and we cleaned it up and we worked, and we were just going to stay in it for a short period of time. And we made it, and it had window units in there. But it was an old house. And so I went and cleaned up, mowed the yard, got everything fixed up. We moved all our stuff in there, and we were staying there. And so I left the next morning to go over to my parents' house. Kim stayed there, and she woke up, and she said, something has happened overnight. And I said, really? I said, what happened? She goes, well, I walked out this morning, and she goes, somebody has come and disked up our whole entire front yard. I said, what? She said, yeah, it looks like somebody took a hoe or something and just disked up the whole front yard. I was like, oh my goodness. I got home, and hogs throughout the night had come and rooted up the whole yard. The wild hogs had come and rooted up the whole yard. Well, the washer and dryer was separated. It was out in the little garage area. So from that point on, Kim never washed or dried clothes after dark.
You got to watch them. Richard and Linda said, I had a hawk dive bomb me with his claws out and ready to grab my head.
Yeah, wow, goodness.
I did think of one story, and now that it's well in the past, I can mention this.
Okay, this was off limits.
This long time it was off limits. Let's just say it involved making ham out of a pig. There was a neighbor down the road, and my dad told the neighbor, he said, because my dad had gardens, and my dad told this neighbor, I don't even think those neighbors are there anymore, so, it ain't going to matter anyway.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations, long time ago. This pig that they had kept coming through the neighborhood and ravaging people's yards. And my dad had enough of it, and he went and told the guy. My dad he didn't mess around. He told it how it was, whether you liked it or not. He's very blunt, to the point, matter of fact. He'd joke around a little bit, but when it came to stuff like this, there was no joking. Charlie Hip was ready to roll. And I can only say this, Dad, because he's not here with us anymore. My dad would not like me telling this story, but now he would laugh. But this pig had kept coming over and it started tearing up my dad's garden. Well, my dad was a big gardener. He was very good great at gardening. Had a Troy-built tiller. I mean, he went the whole nine when he gardened.
Yeah.
Well, this thing came over, started got through the fence, started tearing up the garden. My dad told him, he said, "Man, if your pig comes in my..." Now, I won't repeat the exact word for word, but basically in a nutshell, if your pig comes in my yard again, you're not going to have a pig anymore.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened?
The pig came over.
Pig came in the yard again. My dad had a lot of friends back in the Georgetown community, knew a lot of people in different areas. I mean, if you needed something, my dad knew somebody that could do something. Well, he just happened to know a guy who, is it called butchering a pig? Would that be the same thing?
Yeah.
So he knew a pig butcher in town.
All right.
So my dad said, son, get over here. He goes, this pig's going to be jerking and hauling. I need you to come grab him. So we together loaded up the pig, put him in my dad's old red F-150. My dad forced the pig down, said, hold his legs right there. I held the pig. The pig was kicking. I remember my hand very distinctly had calluses. It just tore my hands up because this was a very powerful. And I was maybe 10 years old, man. And I'm sitting here holding this pig. I'm crying, Dad, no, I can't hold him. Oh, come on, boy. Don't be a wimp. Hold that pig down. You got him. And so we drove about 15 minutes to a guy in town, and let's just say that there was ham. And I'm surprised that my dad didn't deliver the ham to the neighbor.
Did he ever ask about the pig?
No, never heard from the guy again. Probably moved out of the neighborhood. So,
probably said,
yeah. So I don't know if my sister ever knew that story, but there was no more pig, and we never had a pig issue again. So,
oh my goodness,
Jason, do you have any other news you can use today?
We're running out of time, but I did bring you a gift.
Oh, what is this? This Kit Kat bar?
Yes.
Is it really?
Week,
it really is.
Last week, I told you that the number one, or there was an article written about how great this vanilla flavored, new flavored Kit Kat is, and so I brought you one to try
like they've
today.
had those before.
They say they haven't, but I bought one. I was going to try one, and the kids ate it, and they said, well, it just tastes like a regular Kit Kat. So they were underwhelmed by it. So the official taste test is about to take place, and Rob, you tell us how luxurious it is. Is the article accurate, or is this just another trap that I fell into? Mm-mm. It says Kit Kat launched a brand new flavor that tastes 10 times better than the original. Mm-hmm. No, it's not white chocolate.
This does, in fact, taste way better. I'm not a Kit Kat guy. I am now a Kit Kat guy.
Oh, well.
What'd your kids say?
Well,
they weren't a big fan?
They didn't like it. So
try one.
All right, I'm going to try it.
Man, this is good. I like that. I'm not a huge chocolate guy. I don't mind a good chocolate, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely not white chocolate.
No.
I mean, it does taste vanilla.
Whoa, look what happened to my belly just then after I ate that.
It shrunk.
No, it went out even another foot. Man, thank you, Jason.
Yes.
No Verdict, Sam? 2 thumbs up.
Kit Kat. We got that at Walmart.
There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Man, I've never been given a gift like that before. I've given a Kit Kat gift.
See,
thank you.
I told you it would change your life. That was my promise. Did I fail on the promise?
You did not. No, sir. A couple of on this day. That is news you can use, brought to you by J-Bay. On this day. J-Bay, on this day. All right, you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
1845, the U.S. Naval Academy opened at Annapolis, Maryland. That's where the school was located. The Naval Academy opened up, and the phrase "Hi, sailor, new in town" was coined. That's where the phrase came from. 1886. These are so bad all the time. Viewership just drops off. In 1886, the tuxedo dinner jacket makes its American debut at the Autumn Ball in Tuxedo Park, New York. Okay, all that's factual. Probably would have drawn more attention if the guy hadn't forgotten his pants. Just had the jacket there, so it's a little bit of trouble. Well, it had been worn before, but this was the formal debut, by the way. It was also the first time the phrase "thanks, but it's a rental" was spoken. You ever had a jacket on? That's a nice I've said that before when I've rented a tuxedo. Like, man, that's a nice. I was like, and I really have. I said, thanks, but it's a rental. I don't know why you would say that, but I did say that.
That's your humility coming out.
1933, the first synthetic detergent for home use is marketed. So up until then, they only made synthetic detergent to work with you. It was perfect for artificial clothes and really got out those artificial stains back then. These are so bad.
These are dad jokes.
These
in
are
case
horrible.
You don't get enough of them throughout your day-to-day life.
How about this one? It was on this date back in 1945. The Detroit Tigers won Game 7 of the World Series against the Chicago Cubs. That was back in the days when they got an entire season in 7 games of a World Series by October the 10th. There was no November baseball back then.
And the Astros are already out.
Boy, that was quick. Yeah. I thought, man, we're going to have a nice run, and then they got the wild card, and boom. Not only lost, but lost pretty bad.
Those games are so short. The three game series, it just doesn't seem like it should be 5.
Well, and then and then if you lose 7, and then if it's 5 or 7, then you lose 7. Well, it should be 13. On this date in 1964, the 18th. Listen at this real quick, okay? Because I skimmed over this morning. On this date in 1964, the 18th Summer Olympic. Did you hear what I said? Summer Olympic Games opened in Tokyo, Japan. Seems like a late start for the Summer Games, right? So the Winter Games must have been in July. Can you believe that? The Summer Games started in October in Tokyo. I wonder why. I needed to research that a little bit more.
The seasons are different over there.
I don't know. It's just kind of weird. If history is any indicator, this has been a lucky day for the Detroit Tigers because, as I mentioned earlier, 1945, but also 1968, they won the World Series on this day, this exact day.
Yeah, so it would be over. Baseball season would be over.
Today is National Angel Food Cake Day, National Cake Decorating Day,
Kit Kat Day,
National not National Kit Kat Day, self-proclaimed Kit Kat Day, National Handbag Day. Handbag. Do you have a handbag?
No.
Handbag Day. This is an important one. World Mental Health Day, National Walk to a Park Day, National Metric Day. The biggest one out of all that, though, World Mental Health Day.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
And that's where it kind of ties in to everything that we talked about. And know your risk for depression, friends. Find a source for free mental illness screening. They do have those, by the way. You can also use an online version at Help Yourself, Help Others. The website, by the way, is helpyourselfhelpothers.org. You can also visit the National Alliance on Mental Illness at NAMI.org for resources to help. So I know it's a really important one, Jason. We had Dr. Jones on, in fact, talking about mental health
a
few months
ago.
ago.
Lightly.
A few things that you need to know. A new survey among Americans. This is a tough one. We talk about here, again, peacemakers, right? A new survey among Americans show that 80% of them are expecting World War III to be right around the corner. You put 100 people in a room, 80 of them think that that's right around the corner. So important right now to make peace, starting your family. Think about that. You go back to the root of this. If peace starts in the families, think about all of these wars that we're facing now. If peace would have started in some of these leaders' families, these countries may not be. That's how big this is, Jason. You ever think of stuff like that big? Peace that may not have been peace in the family has what's led to some of these leaders declaring war on other countries.
One of the articles I read was that North Korea, they're sending troops over to the Ukraine to fight alongside the Russians now.
North Korea? Like Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, just an article came out today saying that they've seen some increase in troops from North Korea going to fight it alongside the Russians in the Ukraine. So, I mean, it's a sad situation, but when you say 80%, you can I think 100% of people could see it happening. I mean, just with the tensions that are in our world today.
I'm eating a Kit Kat, sorry. That's really good, Jason. Troy Aikman says that he knows he's our boy Troy.
Yeah, that's him.
Tony Romo was better. Said that he knows. Any comment on that, Jason?
I missed the Super Bowls he won.
Yeah, how about the Super Bowl ring? He said he knows he's in trouble with the Swifties after referring to Taylor Swift as the Missus on Sunday Night Football with Taylor and Travis Kelce only dating. Oh, yeah. They're not married, so Troy Aikman in trouble.
But there's a lot of speculation about whether they're engaged or something. I don't know.
Couple of last things here that's wanted to make some news. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 50 years old today. 50 laps around the sun today. Pretty incredible. I remember the day vividly when his dad passed away.
That was something. That crash, I can see it in my head when it took place, and it just seemed like just such a minor compared to what we see these cars go through. It just seemed like such a minor.
Yeah, it was just boom, but they didn't have the head restraint.
Yeah, they didn't have the, what do they call it, Hans device?
Yeah, they didn't have the Hans device. A couple of last ones here. Disneyland. You ever been to Disneyland?
I have not.
That'd be pretty pricey.
I've been to Disney World whenever I was a kid out in Orlando, and by the way, that hurricane is going straight through Orlando, or it has. But Not Disneyland. I've never been out that way.
They're upping their admission prices again. Now the most popular dates will cost $194. How can folks afford this?
See, and that's the reason I haven't gone.
A lightning pass will cost a couple of bucks more, $32 extra for a lightning.
And that irritates
I get mad
me.
about that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I mean, because you already pay money to get in there, and to me, like, you're teaching your kids. When you go to a theme park like that, it's basically teaching them the person with the most money wins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we are. We're waiting in line for 2 hours. Oh, but these people, they got more money than us. They can just cut right in.
I did that at Fiesta, Texas. It was like an extra $13, and I was like, done, because we didn't want to wait.
$13, I understand. 33, and then
on top of that
multiply
$190
that by how many kids you have. And by the way, some of those have like a countdown deal, but it's still like, I mean, I don't know.
I don't like it. Today's impossible question. Bridget, love you, sweetheart. She is watching this morning, my wife watching. Today's impossible question. Bridget, you will know the answer to this. Over half of women and 1/3 of men must have this when they travel. They absolutely must have this when they travel. Over half women and 1/3 of men. What do you think it is? It's the impossible question, Jason. Bridget, you know the answer to this. Because she always asks, did you get da-da-da-da-da? And I always have to go back in the house if I didn't.
Okay. Half of women.
More than half.
More than a half of women. And 1/3 of women must have this when they travel.
Bridget got it. She got it right.
Necessarily on.
I knew she would.
I read it. A pillow.
A pillow is the answer. Because she always says, did we get my pillow? We'll be like, you can drive halfway down the drive. She'll forget her phone before she forgets that pillow, by the way. So, but we'll get halfway down the drive. Oh, it's my pillow. Yep, we got the pillow. Don't worry. And it's usually one or two. Me, I really need to take a fan. I have to have a fan when I travel. But we forget it all the time. But it's the one thing that we can't forget anymore, Bridget, is the fan.
Yeah.
So,
we don't really travel with pillows, but I think if we did, there would be so many pillows that we wouldn't be able to get in the car.
You'd have to have a U-Haul trailer just for the pillows. Did you know that 1 in 4 people claim that they can feel a storm in their joints? Really? My mom could do it, my grandma, and I think it's something to do with the
humidity,
the pressure. Barometric pressure, yeah. The average parent says a kid's birthday party lasts 3 hours. I feel like that's pretty average.
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, if you were doing it like at your house or at like a venue or something. Nowadays, I was looking at these birthday party things for kids. There's companies that host just birthday parties. You hear about this?
No.
Like in bigger cities?
Oh.
Like venues.
No, well, I know of like birthday parties that will come to your house. Bridget's sister hired this company to come in, and they brought the birthday party to her house.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. This is a whole industry, by the way.
Wow, may need to look into that business.
3 hours though. I mean,
it better be $200 an hour.
Yeah, really.
A couple of last ones here. The average female has a favorite piece of clothing for 13 years. I don't think I have anything in my closet besides my San Antonio Spurs championship jacket that's over 13 years old. I found this legit with patches and everything. Found it at a convenience store. Probably wasn't licensed, but I found a San Antonio Spurs jacket at a convenience store, Jason.
Awesome.
You're like, great. Don't talk about it. I like the Mavs.
No, I like it. I like it.
Finally, this is one that I agree that 12% of women have ended a date prematurely because the guy used profanity too much. Can I just say, look, there's times that I've said words that I'm like, man, why did I? And it's gotten far and fewer in between, especially now with children. And, things are on the tip of my tongue and they'll pop out. And I've really learned to control that. Blessed are the peacemakers, right? But I have a really serious issue, and I almost speak up, but I'm trying to keep the peace, Jason, that I just cannot stand it when you go out to eat, especially when you have your children and the person right behind you is just bleepity, bleepity, bleep. There just seems to be that has became an accepted thing in society. Another example, I won't say who or what, but down at Fair on the Square, there was a vendor down there, and a lot of people were working, and just every word right in front of everybody was just words that if my kids were, I'd have to put my hands over their ears. Why do you think that has become so well tolerated when even in schools don't even punish children like they used to anymore.
I know that for a fact.
And can I say something too? Coaches, y'all ain't going to like me for this. Coaches, I believe, we have great coaches here in Huntsville. Coach Southern's a great man. I've never heard a word come out of Coach Southern that I would disagree with. But I've been around some programs where the coaches are speaking to and you're sitting here as a leader saying, you need to be respectful. What message are you sending young people when you're yourself are using that kind of language?
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
It really breaks my heart. I really think it's so unnecessary, and I think that it is so. If you think about what you're saying when you're saying this, people don't understand the words have meaning. And when you use words like that, do you really understand what you're saying? I mean, do they ever think about the context of what the words that they're saying? I mean, I truly believe that they don't, because they're so vulgar. But I will say that it was a couple years ago. I took the kids to a sporting event, and we were sitting there, and there's a people behind us, and it was just like that. Every other word, F word, F word. It was a group of guys, but.
Did you turn around and say anything?
I didn't. I should have probably just said, "Hey, tone it down" or whatever, but I didn't. But yeah, it is everywhere you go now. But it's a reflection of our culture. It really is, because you look at the music, you look at what's on TV, you look at video games. I mean, it's just so predominant in our culture that if you want to change the actions, we must change the culture. That's what the church was originally intended to do, was to be culture changers. And but we see that all around us.
Bridget don't play. We were eating at Mi Tierra in San Antonio when we were down there for my aunt's funeral service, and Mi Tierra's the best place. If you ever get a chance down there, it's the bakery, it's a Mexican restaurant. Love that place. My favorite place in San Antonio to go eat. But as we're walking out, the valet guys are talking like that with the F word and this and that. Bridget turned around and straight up told him, she's like, y'all need to quiet your mouth. She's like, I got my children with me. I don't want to hear you. I was like, man, Mama Bear has been poked.
Good for her. Good for her.
Well, hey, winner today, we won't get a chance to call, but we will announce it here because we got to get rolling. I got a math test I got to take at 9:30.
All right.
Yeah, don't worry, it's a placement test, and I'm going to be placed pretty low. I'm going to have to add 4 math courses.
Oh my goodness!
I took a practice test yesterday.
Math.
Not good. It's a placement test. If you don't do good on it, they add classes to help you.
Yeah, like what do you call it? I know what you're saying.
This one's the ALEKS, ALEKS math test. Here's the deal with this ALEKS test. They say, oh, well, you can study and cram for. Doesn't that mess up the whole point? If you don't know how to do it, you should probably take the classes to learn how to do it. So I don't want to do all these modules and try to take. Here's where I'm getting at. You talked about your passion for education. Maybe here's my passion. I don't want to just go do these study questions so I'll pass the test. I actually want to know what I'm learning, and I'd rather take the class and learn it.
Not to stall or to drag it out, but I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think when you get older and when you're younger, the idea would be that you just want to get through the class, just to get to the end, just to get the degree. But I think as you're older and you go back to school, like I did and like you are now, I think you would learn to appreciate the things that you're learning, and you can find enjoyment in doing these things. One of my daughters, she had a paper she had to write on in jazz music, and she wanted me to help her, and I helped her with it. We got it together and we put it together. But I told her, I said at the end of it, I said, wasn't that fun doing that? I mean, we learned something, and we learned something about music. We wrote it on Ray Charles, which was fascinating to learn about his life, and we both enjoyed it. But I think that's the part of education. When you get to that point where you can do it and it's not a chore, but it's do it because you enjoy it, then you've won the battle.
I don't know how much I'll enjoy the math, but hey, I want to learn it. I want to learn it. I don't want to just cram to learn the type of questions. I want to learn why it does what it does, I guess you could say. So, well, hey, Jennifer Augustinetti, you're our winner today. So congratulations. Thanks for texting in and watching as always. we'll send you a little bit of money today. So thanks for being a part of this show, Jennifer. We love you, appreciate you. Jason, anything else, man? It's been a fun, long show today.
It's been a great day. It's been a great day.
We had to make up for next week because you won't be here.
I won't be here next week. No news you can use, but I've got lots of other news you can use. I'm just anticipating on pouring it out on you. But there's a whole bunch of articles that I found that are really intriguing, but they'll wait.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you for being with us this morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow with Michelle Spencer from the Boys and Girls Club here in Huntsville, along with Billy Cawthon. Michelle does such great work. We're excited to be here. And then next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, we're planning on having the show live from the Cafe Texan as we are helping our friends at the Safe House. So they're having their annual jail and bail, and so we're going to be going live from there at Cafe Texan all day on Friday, but we will have the morning show week after next there at Cafe Texan. For Jason Bay, I'm Rob Hipp. Friends, hey, if you need a church home, maybe you've been looking, please come consider first. You know, if you can't find a home here, there are plenty of great churches in our community, but get plugged in somewhere. We have wonderful Bible studies every Sunday for all ages starting at 9:30. A very active youth program. Our youth minister, Chad Lorraine, does a fabulous job with our young people. Alan Barnes, the worship pastor, also leads the youth as well in worship and a lot of things. So please come be a part of our family. We'd love to have you. We call it a Harbor of Hope for a reason here at First. And the sermons are at 10, or service is at 10:45. Great sermon from Pastor Bay and worship as well. But it's all for him. It's all for the glory of God, and we would love for you to come here. And I promise, unlike the show, we will get you out of here. So I ramble on this show on Sunday. Jason does not. Usually 12:01, 12:02, we're out the door. So appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
All right. God bless you, brother.
I end every show the same way, reminding you this morning that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. So please provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand to support. Somebody out there needs you. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30. Till then, God bless and so long. We'll see you. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Jason.
Take care.